as we continue to wait, and we label it hard. But if you take this time spot continuum, and instead of labeling it hard, if you can, because what light workers do and what 7th and 8th and 9th dimensional beings do is, instead of labeling it hard, we label it with great anticipation. Great anticipation. And one of my teachings that I gave, and I'll just do a little excerpt of it. I just sent it to the girls today, or my husband sent it to the girls, is that when the story of, for those of you who don't know the Bible and for those of you who know the Bible, is that when Jesus rose from the dead, when the tomb was open and the apostles went and they found out that there was no Jesus, they became very confused. And so what they did is they returned to the life of which they once knew it. So they returned to the life of once they once knew it. So they took the same boat, and they were fishermen. So they went to the same place, at the same boat, the same location, and they cast their nets. And so as they were doing that, because they were confused, so they returned to the same person that they were. So from the shore they heard, "Cast your net on the other side of the boat." I'm sure Jesus did it better than I am, but move your boat. Go and find a different location in the sea and cast your net on the other side of the boat. And so they heard that. And then they took their nets and they cast it onto the other side of the boat. And they raised the net up. And they saw that they had more fish than they've ever had before. And so I thought that was very, again, had a great message for me, at least, because we are in absolute change. The wind is upon us at this time here in the Mankato area. This is a time for change. It's not going to go back to normal. I don't want it to go back to normal. I don't want to go back to normal. I don't even know what the future is, but I'm going to row my boat to a different part of the ocean. And I encourage you all to be okay with casting your net on the other side of the boat, because what that does, it takes faith that there's something bigger, there's something better fish in that part of the sea as you reach in there. So I would encourage you to do so. The other thing is that I'm just going to tell you just a little bit about Garrett. Garrett will be speaking to us today, and we will, next Monday, we have Echo Bodine scheduled. I talked to her personally, and I don't know how we became friends, but we apparently did. But she says, and she always calls me sweetie, she says, "I would love to come on to your Zoom cafe." So next Monday, we will be having Echo Bodine, who's been doing this work as long as I have, been dedicated to this work as I have. She was once known, her family was once known as the most psychic family in the USA. And so she's quite an interesting and very dedicated woman. After that, we will be having on Monday, May 4th at 4 o'clock, numerology. Deb Schubert will be talking to us on May 4th at 4 o'clock and talking to us about energetically what numerology means as we move forward. So I'm just going to let you know about Mr. Garrett Duncan. First and foremost, I was introduced to Garrett by Shirley B., who we had on our time together here at the Wine Cafe. And he is, well, I only tend to really connect with very authentic people. And he's very, very heart-centered and very, very authentic. And he is a Navajo healer and facilitator. He's a shaman, a medicine person, a Reiki master, a storyteller. He was born and raised in the Navajo reservation. His clans are the Bitterwater clan, born for the red running into the water clan. His maternal grandfather's clan is the Mexican clan, and his paternal grandfather's clan is the Menehogans clan. Garrett was given guidance from the elders of his tribe to assist the people of all the earth and to assist the earth at this time, and his, not only his people, but all the people of the earth. And he is quite a fascinating. But when he comes on, what you will see is there is a I have a tendency at times, as well as Amy and Janelle, to be giddy. And Sweet Garrett is also, he's very giddy. He's just very bubbly in his energetic field. And to me, he has the resonance of a 8th, 9th, 10th dimensional being that's trying to be here in physical form. And so when you are an 8th, 9th, 10th dimensional being from the stars and you're in your body, and it's, again, you don't place your attention on what is, you place your attention on what that bubbliness can be in this isness. And so he's quite a fascinating gentleman that will be on today. So hopefully he will come on very shortly. Amy and Janelle, do you have anything that you want to tell that's coming up on, oh, maybe about your healing stuff?
Yeah, so on Thursday after Zoom this week, so Zoom is at 4, and then at 5:30 we're going to have the Reiki Community Circle. So we're going to be offering free Reiki over Zoom. It's amazing. You can feel the energy right where you're sitting, and we love doing it in the homes because then it just goes right into your house and you're all ready to feel it for that day and just so long afterwards. So we're going to try it on Thursday at 5:30.
Thank you.
And I'll have the Power of Change will be out on Thursday or Friday, probably Thursday this week, because it's so good. We'll get it out as soon as we can.
Did you watch it already?
I watched it right away. We always watch them right away. And then the old one, or not old, the one from last week is out as well on our YouTube channel and on our Facebook page. So you can watch it on there, and it's meditation and Reiki combined, and it's really fabulous and really powerful. You can really feel the energy, so to help you. Can I share something else too I heard today?
You can share anything.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So right before this, I was listening to a little news clip of Michael Bernard Beckwith, who was on the ABC World News. And he shared that when you're washing your hands, because so many people are in anxiety right now. So when you're washing your hands, like think of something you're grateful for, like think of a fun memory, and just use that time instead of worrying like the coronavirus might be on my hands, to instead be in a state of gratitude. And I thought that was so beautiful. So I wanted to share it.
Thank you.
So.
Thank you. Does anybody have anything else to share before Mr. Garrett comes on? No? Well, the wonderful thing about Garrett too, he came to the star gathering. Well, he was supposed to come to the star gathering that we were going to have in June as well. But it's funny because when I was getting dressed, I was putting on, I'm a person who likes a lot of pearls. And so when I was putting on all my pearls today, I was thinking I wonder why I like pearls so much. And well, first I like Hawaii and the ocean a lot. I'm an ocean person. But as I was putting on my pearls today, I was thinking about all the pearls of wisdom that I've received from all of the teachers, and had the opportunity to get little gems and kind of put them on a string of pearls that I use for my life, and it works really well. And so every time that we gather together and have these fantastic teachers and helpers, and again, smothering on the energy of different teachers, it is true that you take what you need and you leave the rest, but then really take what you need and leave the rest. And okay. Oh, that's interesting, Julie. You want to talk a little bit about that? Julie would just tell them about what pearls are. Maybe that's why I like them too.
Well, it's kind of interesting. There's a lot of info about pearls, but the fact that they are the only precious gem made by a living organism, how pearls are truly made is is a little bit of an irritant, like a piece of dirt or something that gets inside the oyster. And I always picture it as being something under your tongue, where it's very soft and kind of sensitive. And that happens with the oyster. So that irritant gets in there and the oyster starts to build that nacre around it to make it smooth. So it takes something dirty or like a garbage almost and turns it into something beautiful. So there can be a lot of symbolism to a pearl by having something negative become something very positive and precious.
Hope Interfaith Center. Garrett is on. Hey, Garrett, I don't see your face at all. Do I get to see your beautiful face?
I'm here.
Hello, hello, my special friend. How are you?
I am coming to you live from the viewport of the spaceship. I'm looking down on all you beautiful earthlings.
Yay, 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 yay. Well, like always, I gave a little intro about you and just a little smidgen of the truth of who you are. And I know that you're a member of the Galaxies Beyond Galaxies Beyond Galaxies, but do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit, and then we'll just have a conversation for everybody?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Garrett Duncan. I am of the Navajo Nation. I have a Bitterwater clan born for the red running into the water. And my maternal clan is the Mini Mexican, and paternal is Mini Hogans. So I come from a community called Sanasti. It's located near Shiprock in New Mexico in the Four Corners region. And that's where I reside. But currently right now, I'm in Colorado. I live just to the south of Denver. Just recently moved. And I know why Spirit put me in the beautiful mountains, because all this free entertainment.
Yes.
Yes. So this is in Navajo. I'll just share with you a little bit of our language. That way you can kind of distinguish the languages that are going to be coming forward for all of us today. Yat eshe a Garrett Duncan Unishya. Twitch eat ni nishlindo tkachi ni bashes chin. Na kai dene dasha che ho one flana dasha nala. Tes na asti ayas nasha akot aya denen nishlo. So I just introduced myself to you in the Navajo language. And if you're not familiar with the Navajo language, that's what it sounds like. And you can imagine it's fairly difficult, you know, with the enunciations and pronunciations. So that's one of the main reasons why it was utilized during World War II. So this is just, I'm not sure if some of you are aware of that, but the language itself was well known during World War II, during the various battles through the Navajo code tuckers along the Pacific and Asia Pacific area. So that's why they utilized our language in that sense. It was so coded within a code that even a typical Navajo person wasn't able to translate what was being said.
So the biggest question that I ask everyone, Garrett, I just asked myself as well, like, from the stars and from the star beings and from the nations of which you've come from. So can you tell, is this a prophesized episode that's going on upon the planet with the coronavirus? Is this a prophesized of the prophecies of the rainbow?
Yes, with our people, the Navajo Nation, and amongst the traditionalists and the traditional aspect of the culture, this was also written, I shouldn't say written because it wasn't necessarily a written language, it was an oral language. And so storytellings, there's myths and story creations around the myth and prophecy of what they called as the worldly rainbow. If you guys are familiar with the Navajo traditions, from a very deeper aspect, the initial, what they call the swastika symbol that was utilized during World War II, that was initially a symbol that we had utilized back in the day. It was part of our sand paintings. And when these sand paintings were created, they were created in the form of that swastika. But when you look at it, it was only made with one color. but the initial sand painting showed that it had 3 colors. And in the tradition, the rainbows, it was like representing rainbows, that the colors were spinning. So it was doing this. So when you look at that swastika symbol, that's what it symbolizes. And they say that's what the worldly rainbow is about. And of course, the prophecies and stories and wisdoms that have been coming forward, has been about this, basically this time. So it's very much in alignment with a lot of our local Southwestern tribes here. You have the Hopi prophecy, which is well known. And then you have several other indigenous tribes that are here in the Southwest area, and they all have their own interpretation of what is happening. And so, of course, in these prophecies, it always talks about a time of purification. And so that is currently right now, that's what I see from this observation, from this point of neutrality, that we're in this observation mode. And what I've been sharing with everyone is that it's almost like, think about it from this perspective. Mama Earth sent everybody to their room. And what are the kids doing right now? No, I don't want to be here. Da, 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 da. So that's what's happening, right? The collective is throwing a fit.
Yes.
So I've just been watching I like to refer to as free entertainment. So I'm here from the observation deck, and I'm just watching all this information coming in, and it's the news here, virus this way, you have government stuff going on, you got conspiracy theory on this way, you got channelings on this side. And I was like, oh my goodness, we're being so overwhelmed with so much information. But really, in this quiet time, and this time of perspective is supposed to be, we're sitting back and really doing the work, but being in that isolation, looking at those aspects of our being, that's being triggered right now, and utilizing the tools necessary to clean it up and to come into that awareness, So that's how I perceive what's going on.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I don't think, as you and I always say, there's no coincidence why you are on the Zoom Cafe a few days before Earth Day, which is Wednesday. Which is Wednesday. And it's finally getting nice outside here in the state of Minnesota. Are the fairies and divas and the sprites speaking to us at this time, and how can we get in contact with them too during this time of change and growth?
We are always with you. In this awareness, through the vessel of your voice, tonalities, spoken words, even the sound of the buzzing of the bees, through the songs, expression, as you're buzzing like a bee, as you're singing the song, surround you. That does that answer your question?
Yes, it answers mine. Yes.
So this was very much an elemental elder that came forward, and I believe that, of course, Hope, you're being the vessel in that sense. Elder wants to bring forth awareness and just more or less connecting through that aspect of a being that is in tune with the fae, with the fairies, with the elves, with the dwarves, with the gnomes, with the arisin, the pixies, as they're called, Sikistima. There's a lot of different variances of elementals. I just refer all of them, in a more generalized perception, but there's different variations. And so Aketera Sason, they're talking about right now the kingdoms that are very in tune with the flower kingdoms. Did you know that the fairies ride the bees, they say? They like to utilize the bees in the form of their horse. Perhaps this was an awareness that you were not familiar with. So they're just sort of bringing that energy coming through right now. Some of you, they're talking about smelling. There might be some sweet essence or sweet flowery smell that's coming in right now for some of you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So evolutionary wise, as we're changing our DNA, and many people are talking about how we're going into the 7th, 8th, 9th, and above, even the 12th dimensional. Like, many people wonder, like, what does that mean? Like, when people are moving from the 3rd to the 4th to the 5th to the 6th, the 7th dimensional frequencies or dimensional being that
Mm-hmm.
they are,
Mm-hmm.
can you explain a little bit? Because when I began, I thought, like, what the heck is a 5th dimensional being? Like, okay, what does she look like? What does she do? You know, so what, can you talk a little bit about that? Like, what's happening to us, and what does that look like when you embody that?
Yes, Aketomo. So what they're referring to is Senaratara Sekotora, looking in your reflection. Yakasta, instead of very simply 5-dimensional, Akesara is our being, is our we. Akaston, most of us who are on this call right now are working, operating from the 5-dimensional frequency. Ekestime Sirakotoro. Have you noticed that your food, your taste for food is changing? Okastan, what was tasting good before no longer resonates. Has your sensitivities become more aware with regards to the water that you are drinking? Perhaps tap water doesn't taste as much as nice as it used to. So these are all symptoms, what they're referring to right now as physical awareness with regards to symptoms, ascension symptoms, because as your evolutionary vibrancy in the 5th, in the 3rd 3D, I refer to the body as the 3D. So the 3D, as we're evolving, all it is, is the frequency and the vibration is speeding up, speeding up, speeding up. So I'm just going to put that question out there. So have you guys noticed, you know, you can just raise your hand that your taste for food may be something that you really enjoyed. It's just like, oh, it doesn't have its flavor anymore, or it's very bland.
I see Barb going like this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kimberly too, yeah. And the reason again for this awareness is that it's because your vibration frequency, ekimeturo, is accelerating. It's starting to be much more, so it's like the vibrational element of our being, the individual atoms, akastan. So that makes up our entirety. It's starting to vibrate higher, quicker, I should say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Let's talk a little bit about resistance, because you're looking at a woman who's resisted all of her life. I mean, I shouldn't say that, but I've resisted a lot, and you know, every teacher that I've ever had has talked about not resisting, and I believe that's what I'm trying to stop. So I don't resist anymore. And because I think it's so important at this time to not resist our magnificence, not to resist this change, not to resist by escaping the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a real good escape artist. So help me, help everyone else not to escape this exquisite moment. But let's talk a little bit about it.
Okay. So first of all, we're going to change your awareness around the word asara sisturo. So instead of utilizing resistance, think of it as opportunity. Because it was just an opportunity for egoic mind to embrace the motivational element of your true essence, of your true being. So motivating the perception of these obstacles, the perception of resistance, the rigidity, instead opportunity to blossom, to grow, to be in the so the so meaning to flow. Right now it's very important to flow. This is what I've been sharing with a lot of individuals, is that the awareness around the I am, incorporating, allowing. I allow, therefore I am. You anchor it. So I allow the opportunities because I am the opportunity. I allow the love because I am love. Yakastara sa son. So when we're in the flow, yaketera se kostunda, you're gonna find that the resistance obstacle you were hitting head on, but instead utilize the water element, flow around it, over it, to the side, underneath. So a lot of times it just requires that little bit of reminder and say, hey, just embrace your inner water, because we're all water. We're 80% water in this body anyway. So you might as well work with that flow. You can
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So when we break through resistance to become our ninth, 10th dimensional frequency, what happens then?
You'll be able to do things that you weren't even, that the conscious awareness, the human, the mental, didn't even phantom was possible. So like the miraculous transformation, miraculous healing, miraculous manifestations. A lot of us already are walking in that frequency to bring about these changes. And so so that's what they're referring to, is that from the angelic perspective. This is where that I bring awareness from the angels. Angels have the awareness, like they're there, but they're pure energy, and they cannot come into density. So that's where we have a beautiful experience in that sense. So, even in the sensory growth, it's not a bad thing, to embody this 3D, because we can taste ice cream, or we can have that sound, that beautiful sound of the music, or the didgeridoo, or the singing bowl. We can experience that. But from the angelic perspective, they can't, because they're pure vibrancy. So they can go through the walls. I mean, we can feel them touch us, but we can't necessarily hear exactly what they're saying, because their frequency is vibrating too high that our 3D hearing cannot gain access to that true essence of that message. So in that sense, it's almost we have to come into a good harmonic resonance, being embodied in our 3D, in the beautiful aspect of our human, because that's what we came to here, to have an experience at Gaston, and then at the same time have a nice, good harmony with also the higher vibrancy. So we're continual flow.
I have been known, if you ask my husband, I have been known to, because I was telling before you came on, like I'm into the pearls, and I put pearls around my head, and I seem to be dancing a lot to integrate the energy.
Yes.
I don't even have music on the radio, and he'll come out and I'm kind of going like this,
Yes.
And I'm just integrating. And one of the things I talked about is that I loved you so much, Garrett, is because there's a giddiness about you. There it is. And that aliveness in you.
Yeah.
And I never lost that aliveness within me. And I, even more so, I'm kind of like in this giddy, high energetic field. And I see movement is really important to kind of move that into your body at this time. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. Because also too, with the intensity that's coming in, we have energies that are coming to us from our sun, our central sun. We have energies that are being bombarded by our star families. They're sending beams, real intense beams now. And so what's happening, all this frequency is coming down. And of course, high empathic parts, our sensitive side, like, oh, we're going through all sorts of emotions and being rocked and whatnot. And so what's happening too is that when these frequencies are going into our fields, and it's not just physical, but it's going into our auric fields, sometimes getting stuck. When it gets stuck, that's when the pain starts. So, or you get fidgety. Like some of you may be having restless leg syndrome more often, or else you get all like, okay, and then you get that restless leg because you're moving that energy. I mean, there was, the Western perception, it says that's some type of condition or a syndrome, right? But it's like the body already knows what to do with that frequency, because if you think about it, you can't, if you have too much of that cosmicness in your body, it's gonna hurt because it's too much. You know, we're still in 3D, right? So
Yes.
instead the body moves and it causes it to flow in, you know, flow out, flow in, flow out. You know, so that's why also too important, letting the inner child come out, dance, play, sing. So all those are in the creative aspects of our being, your being, Ashturo San, Ikinan. That's what the elementals were referring to. Spring, singing your song, again, toning your song.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I know this is sound weird, but you know, when people get older, they get that little hump, you know, in the back, and
Oh,
you know,
yes.
and so that's why I told Paul, I said, oh my God, if I get a little hump back there, tell me to straighten up, you know, because I don't want to get that hump. And I think part of that hump is that energy that's kind of like caving in on us versus the expression of the full body. And I think that people, whether what size of body they are, they're not as free with their body as they could be to kind of get that energy moving through their body. Um, and so what do the elementals and the beings of white light are asking us to do right now with this tremendous energy that's coming in?
Release the burdens. So emotionally, it's almost like I like to look at it from the perspective of instinct. So we have our healer instinct, and then the mama and child bond, mamas, you guys all have that instinct too. And then you have the female, which is that natural instinct to want to hold and carry the burden, the weight of the world on your shoulders, right? So because we have that, what happens energetically, all those emotions and all those burdens get right here, right where you were pointing, Hope.
Oh, interesting.
And then what happens, it starts to do this because, you know, if energy starts off there, gets heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier, and then pretty soon you're going to notice physically your body start to take on, you know, it encapsulates that awareness, but like that movement. It's not movement, it's that stagnation. So you have that hurdle. So a lot of times, you know, when I can tell someone is very sensitive, they're taking on the weight of the world on their shoulders, I tell them, I say, hey, take that weight off. Just give yourself like that, and then squeeze, and then get your nice wings, you know, that wings of expansion come out, and then just squeeze your shoulder blades together.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you're going to feel this opening here because that's where your heart, so that resonance of the heart's coming in, this being and it's radiating out, and then it's going. It's almost like you're pulling in, going to heart, and then radiating out. So all of that, like it's doing up and down, and then all around us too. So it's all working.
I'm going to open it up to the gallery. Does anybody, you can just raise your hand or unmute yourself. Does anybody have a question to Garrett that you want to ask personally of what's going on, perhaps for you, or you need help in? Any questions at this time, or should I just keep on asking questions?
You're just channeling on behalf of all the callers.
I am.
I have a question, Janice. This is Kelly.
Okay.
And I'm sure that this is not unusual, but like just all old stuff coming up again, just about either early childhood wounds or not feeling good enough and those kinds of things. Like just some more ideas and tips about how to let things go, how to let it go.
Mm-hmm. So Kelly, thank you for bringing that awareness. Another encouragement that I've been reminding everyone to utilize is your tools. We have tools. Mama Earth provided the tools, okay? So if there's energy work, you know, if you're an energy work practitioner, you have that tool. The element that you're born into, and this is how the shamanic wisdoms have been coming around with regards to awareness of the medicine wheel teachings. The element that you're born into is catered to your astrological sign. So I like to refer to us airheads, Aquarian, Geminis, and who was the other airhead? Is Aquarian, Gemini. What's the other air sign?
Yeah, I don't know. What's another?
Libra, Aquarians, and Geminis. So we're born into the element of air. So therefore, for us, our allies are these guys, feathers. So we utilize the feathers, cleaning off with ourselves, dusting, brushing. So those are tools because we're aligning with that element. We're already born into it. And then you have your fires, Sagittarius, Aries, and Leos, sunlight, citrine, lava rock,
Oh.
fire. So those guys, that's your strength, that's your element that you're born into. Then the high sensitives, water, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, right? Pisces is the most sensitive out of those three. And so therefore, in that sense, for those of you who embody those energies, water. So for in that awareness, instead of utilizing burning of sage for water signs, what I'll usually do is encourage them to work with sage sprays or any type of sprays, because again, they're born into that element. So automatically, those elements are in service as an ally, because ekastan, we're already born into it. Shikituro. So you're harnessing, you're vibrating, you're aligning with that element already because you're born into it. So again, the water elements, so working with the sprays, but the fire and air signs might be better off with burning sage or burning, those resins to help them. And then of course the earth signs, the Capricorns, the Taurus, they getting your hands dirty. So meaning going outside, going in the garden, doing your herbal work, working with plants, working with your flowers. So the earth signs, those are the building something too. They get fidgety. Earth signs, they get fidgety. They got to be moving their hand. They can't sit still. It's like they got to be doing something. So in that sense and this awareness again, so these elements, earth, air, fire, water, if you kind of see which one you're born into, just know that's sort of like a reason, oh, that's why I resonate, or that's why I feel so much better after it rains, or I like getting my feet muddy. Earth signs. Right?
Makes sense. Thank you, Kelly. What sign are you, Kelly? Kelly,
well, and I wanted to get more clarification on that. I'm like right on the cusp of a Sagittarius, or I'm technically a Capricorn, but it's like the day after it goes from Sagittarius to Capricorn. Okay. And I have aspects of both, but I really like that idea. Like the Capricorn, I'd get my hands dirty, and I think, did you say Sagittarius was fire too? Like I do like fires, so I kind of like both.
Yes,
I really like that. It's just it's a physical, tangible way to also kind of harness the energy, and I like that.
Correct. So another suggestion for you, Kelly, is that for those frustrations, like when you're ready to release all the old patterns and the old gunk, you may have that almost like that feeling just to scream, like that raw energy of letting it out. Fires, that's notorious for them. So a good way for you can do that, Kelly, is to dig a hole in Mama Earth, like dig a hole and then lean over her and then just scream right into that hole as you're releasing all those frustrations. And as you're covering that hole back up, that's where you're giving gratitude back to Mama Earth and saying, thank you for allowing me, for providing this vessel, this awareness of tools, but also to utilize your body in this way. You're much bigger than we are as humans. So therefore you have the capacity to neutralize and transmute it out. So this is another technique that's very beneficial. And of course, it applies not just for the earth and fire signs, but it applies to any frustrations, because some of you probably noticed with the postings and the news, and going back to what I was indicating as free entertainment, you're being triggered, right? We're all being triggered. I'm being triggered. Oh my God, I feel so helpless, or I feel like I could be doing something, but I'm stuck at home. You're feeling that frustration. So in that sense, that's where that energy needs to move out of your field too, because there is a cleansing that is taking place energetically. It's helping you to release. So I always encourage individuals, I go, that's why they invented pillows. You get a pillow and just
or backyards or something. Or
yeah. Or even your car. I mean, sometimes when I'm really angry, I'll scream in my car because I'm by myself. So you're in a nice, safe zone environmentally, right? So you just let out that, and those frustrations through that raw, because it's part of a breath work. It's a technique.
So I have a question about dreams. Hi, it's Lynette. Just lots of vivid, kind of wild dreams. I'm sleeping really hard and really well, but lots of dreams. How can we help maybe either transmute those and move them through us and let them go, or how can we best manage that?
So are these dreams catered to more of like not so good dreams, or are they dreams that are more high vibrancy, fun stuff?
Yeah, it's more like past relationships, things that I really thought that I have let go of and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just I get stuck in like the same dream loop.
Yes. And so in that sense that your subconscious is already utilizing astral form and dream time to be a release, because as much as we would love to know and understand, you know, the lessons behind this, that's our mental body, that's the egoic mind. Sometimes the egoic mind still thinks it's done with all this clearing, or think we're done with this lesson, but then there's a deeper core. And so that's where the higher aspect of our being, the subconscious, will kick in and take over at that moment, because it's like, oh, well, they're not aware of this, so let's go ahead and just let them dream it out. Let that transmission and transmutation take place from that aspect, because in that way, it's much more easier. Because sometimes, you know, the mental body, you know, as beautiful it is, it could keep you in the loop, because it's why, how, what, you know. So when it starts to question, you get caught up in the loop. And then in that sense, that's where it's like hard to understand what the lesson was all about, you know. So when you're trained, your thought process is very strong like that, that's where the astral form will sort of take over on itself. And it's still you, but it's just doing it in a more efficient way. And in that efficiency, there's a vulnerability that happens when during the dream time, because it's almost as though in the dream state, you'll remember only so much, but there's, you know, there's a lot of it that the details are not all kept up to par, because it happens so fast. And that's where the egoic mind gets frustrated, because it wants to know all the details. It wants to know all the, you know, good stuff that I'm missing. But it's like, well, if it wasn't beneficial to begin with, then why bother? Because now it's just going to create more confusion. It's going to create more like questions as to how and why. So instead, that's why in the dream time, it helps you in that sense. Does that resonate, Miss Lynette?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Garrett, I have a question for you. I've had lots of ear stuff going on, and last week I felt like I actually walked right into a wall of energy.
Yeah.
And I had to grab the wall or I would have fallen down. So what do you have to say about that?
Well, that is all part of the growth, you know, for you. The sensitivities, what they're sharing, your sensitivities are increasing, and your gift, the clairaudience part of your being, so that is starting to manifest now into even more physical awareness and conscious awareness. So don't be surprised, you know, if the mediumship starts to kick in even more. You know, you're hearing spirit, you're hearing loved ones, they're talking about animals. Like right now I hear a whisper, but it's like, oh, tell her the animals are going to start speaking to her. It's like, oh, okay, you know, showing that sense, those abilities that have always been there, they've always been there. Now it's consciously coming back into awareness. So that's what they, you know, some individuals refer to as an awakening, but it's more because this is just another aspect of it, another layer, another level. So that part of your being now is coming into that awareness. And then they're also referring to the hands being more sensitive to the energetics. So the vortexes and the portals. So Joe, don't be surprised if those start coming into your awareness too, you know?
Okay. Sounds good to me. I'm ready.
Let's talk just a little bit about, and I don't want necessarily, but people are fearful of getting this coronavirus, and let's talk just a little bit about that, the physicality of what is going on and the people who are leaving, our brothers and sisters who are leaving the planet at this time.
Yes.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, so I'm glad you brought this up, Hope, because there was one thing in that video that you had, that you guys had the meeting about the star gathering, that very much that you validated for me. I had released the video to my Facebook group a few days before. And in that video, I talked about how the virus was being of service in a certain way, and that we weren't supposed to, because at that point, both Shirley and I, we were already had the codes. We already were given the binary codes to neutralize the virus. And so when we received it, of course, my healer instinct is like, well, okay, guys, I have the codes. What do you want me to do with it? Am I supposed to go infuse some waters, infuse crystals? And they're like, nothing. I was like, you're not supposed to do nothing because you know exactly why. And I'm like, oh, okay. Because it showed me that the virus itself was doing three things. It was sharing with me that it was doing, I mean, a more positive side of it is that it was showing me that it was a way out for those who were ready to leave, because they needed, you know, they were done basically saying, all right, I want to go. I did my time and this is my way out. So in that perspective, those individuals who are leaving, what is happening is that they're being reborn back into the new earth. They're already going to come back, but basically when the new earth is in place and they don't have to work as hard. So in that sense, that was an outlet for them. At the same time, it was also a trigger for many of us, because what happens when humans get sent to the room? They throw a fit, right, Barb? They throw a fit, they get mad, they get upset, and they're like sitting there all, you know? So this is where the virus, from that perspective, was showing everybody, okay, hold the mirror up. If you're going to go into fear, guess what's going to happen? Your vibrations is going to come down, and then it's going to open that window, and then the replication of the possibility was going to start. It's going to come into your fields, and then when you're caught up in that fear, it's going to start manifesting. Then it'll manifest the virus into existence. You know, because if everything is energy, initially it's going to start off etherically. So from that perspective, from that awareness, that's where it was being of service. At the same time, you know, it was also getting everyone to be in this self-reflective period, you know, to go to your rooms, to do your work, to look at the mirror, to see what you're being triggered on, to understand as best as you can the karmic lessons, or maybe the old patternings, the old thoughts, the reassessments. And what Spirit ended up sharing with a lot of individuals too, in that time period, they were saying to encourage everybody, you should work with your manifestations. And they said, no more excuses. So if you had up until now the awareness of the excuse that I didn't have any more time, that project, or maybe you were supposed to write your book. I know Garrett's guilty of that. That's when Spirit's calling us down, saying, you have no more excuses, so let's utilize this time productively, you know, to bring manifestation of creation. So even like what I've noticed too is people are updating their homes, you know, their those projects. Maybe they're putting the shelf up that they've always wanted, or maybe they wanted to paint their room a different color, and finally they're like, now's the time to do that. No more excuses, right?
Yes, 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 yeah. I'm very thankful for that, because as soon as I heard that message that I was not supposed to pray for this to end, you know, to join the collective who's praying for it to end, yeah. I told Janelle and Amy that right away. Then, oh my God, who am I going to tell that to?
Yeah. Yeah.
That I'm not supposed to pray for this to end, yeah. And I was almost reprimanded in some ways. Because just like you, I received the message that it's serving a beautiful, beautiful purpose. Is that if you go through this period of time and you have not been reflective, you would have missed the point. If you have not been going through this time and thanked a nurse, a teacher, a trucker. I stopped a trucker the other day and I gave him one of the flowers that I got from Nan. He goes, "What do you give me that for?" I said, "My job is to thank the truckers." And that we would have missed the point if we would have not had a reboot or a reset in some ways of ourselves. We would have missed the point, the beautiful point of what this is going through right now.
Mm-hmm. And what's happening as well is like in this reflective period, you know, if you think about, so for those of you who've been working the 8 to 5 jobs, you know, this is an assessment for you too, because now after this first wave ends, it's going to be like, can you really go back to that job now? Because you realize, is this being the highest service for you at this time? How much time have you given away? Your time, the time that you were using to build your home, the time that you were utilizing in creation. And here you were working for a corporation or this bank that's basically draining, you know, all the resources and whatnot. So you're allocating your energy into, you know, providing a service in that sense. But was it fun for you? Probably not. You probably were like burnt out. Some of you probably were overworked. You know, I was there. I was in corporate too, so I know exactly, you know, how that feels. Burnt out, exhausted, tired, getting sick. See? So in this reflective time, so from that perspective too, it's also showing, you know, collectively speaking, can you really go back into that environment again? You know, can you really allocate and go back into, yes, from a financial side of things, that might be your only reason, but at the expense and cost of this vessel, of your happiness, of your well-being. So individuals who are utilizing and coming into this reflective, you know, harnessing that energy correctly, they're really sitting with themselves. They're really monitoring and asking themselves these questions. And what they're going to do and come out of it as a result is to create something better. It's always going to be an opportunity. But the ones who are fighting it are the ones that are distracting themselves, because guess what? They're not doing the work. They would rather blame the game, point the finger, you did this to me, you did this to me. And then the whole entire time is like, oh, hold the mirror up, hello, you're doing it to you. And guess what? You're distracting you because you know it's work and you don't want to do the work. Right?
Yes. So what can you say to Janelle and Amy? Because I know that we're in some ways they talk about nurses being on the front line and doctors being on the front line. But I think for me, as well as Janelle and perhaps Amy, like my work has not really been downgraded to, because somebody had said they're nesting and resting, and I thought, I'm not nesting and resting. So what can you say for people who are on the front lines, and maybe this is our time to be on the front lines? I don't know.
And as far as just being involved in the medical aspect?
No, just like for the light workers at this time, like Janelle and Amy and I, or any of like you or anybody else who's kind of called to the front lines spiritually to feed and serve the people right now energetically. Yeah. What would you say to those people who really don't have a lot of time for resting and nesting? What would you say to us?
I've been sharing this very much in the last month, is that to maintain neutrality. It is very important to be in neutrality, because as I've already brought to awareness, is that if we engage, if we go and if we have that trigger, that posting on Facebook or whatever, that trigger, and then we engage, what's going to happen? All that attack on you. And because the energies are so magnified right now, those individuals who are getting attacked, it's like their fields are coming down. So it's really hard to maintain that vibrancy when you're trying to justify, you know, this is why I posted it. And then you have this other person who's attacked. Then you're going there. So when you're playing that game, you're really exhausting yourself in that way. So in neutrality, when you're being external observer, let it play itself out. But if you're called to, if you're inclined to engage, you better make sure that you're asking your helpers that it's meant to be. You know, it's very important, because again, what I refer to back to the healer instinct. This is where that gets us in trouble. So as light workers, as healers, that is so ingrained in our being to give, right?
Yes.
But what happens when we keep giving, guys?
I don't know. I eat too much. And I get drained. I mean, I do.
Yeah, exactly. You get drained, you get sick, right? And then you have nothing left afterwards, right? What Universe Spirit has been sharing is that in fluidity, you give love, but you also have to give yourself permission to receive it back. It's very important. You give it, receive it, give it, receive it. So that's why I was bringing awareness around allowing. When you state, I allow, so I allow the love because I am love. Now you anchor it. You anchor and harmonize back with those frequencies. This is an important lesson for a lot of the healers and spiritual leaders too, because you're probably also noticing the dirty laundries coming out with a lot of these leaders, right?
Yes.
So that's where the notion, awareness of integrity. If they're not living in integrity, if integrity is not there and they're saying, oh yeah, I'm bringing light to the earth, but then you hear that they're beating up their spouse behind the scenes, guess what Spirit's going to do?
Yeah.
Going to slap you because that's energy right now. So that's why, again, I've been encouraging individuals to maintain your neutrality. Yes, you can engage, but you really need to double check and make sure that you're getting those validations to do so. You know, otherwise, then you're going to go into the lesson or you're going to get caught up in that loop. And then these attacks, and they may not necessarily be like direct towards you, but because the energy is so magnified right now, that's what's happening, and then it's causing like this strain on your feels.
Thank you. I know that we're getting to the closure of this, and do you want to give a encodement or meditation or love language and light language so people can feel that and energetically come into alignment, perhaps? Or
yes, the Lemurians have been coming in. They came in real strongly 2 days ago, and this is the energy of Lemuria Sesendera Tumo. So all right, all right, so I'm just going to share with all of you right now at this time, Mikenduro Sesera. This is from your vibrancy, your relatives, the one-hearted ones, as they're known as. The Lemurian energy is very much in harmony with the loving vibration only. They call the humans, the earth surface walkers, they call us two-hearted because we have the egoic mindset and then we have the heart. So two-hearted, right? But Lemuria Tennyson only knows higher vibrancy through love. Ekastan Steresasun. So in that sense, that harmonization is always continuing to feel envelop in their entire being, Himetara. So with your intentions now, Gemekan Sterasan, I'm just going to ask that you open a cosmic waterfall as I call. So draw a triangle and circle right above you, and then pull that frequency down. And imagine diamond pink, Akastun, diamond pink waterfall that is cascading. There you go. And whatever hurdles, aches, pains, lessons, traumas, gunk that no longer serve us, release, release, release. So I'm going to just do this first neutralization that's coming forward in the form of star language, Yakastun. Take a deep breath in and release. Return to purity. One more time. Inhale. Return to purity. Release. Exhale. Now focus into heart space. Yakan Steresasan. Yunduryasan Yakiatur Yanandera Sesun. Hanera Staria Singiniru. Haneria Nuria Neria Nuria Naria Nuria Nuri. Gandaria Daria Nuria Naria Ria Muria Muring. Yar yan yu yan yar yar yar. Yandar yar yar. Yari. Wandar yan yu riamuru. Aniere sondurate yan yu. Yan yara flow canara sisiuru. Yan yukundia stara. Yeki hander yandur ate singin yiru. Kamur yan yara singanera. Amatara. Yan yakan dera sesur yanara. And they're just encouraging all of us at this time now to take a deep breath in and you just release that sound of compassionate release. Aka mondayete toro. See, softer but very effective. So you feel yourself kind of in this flow. It's a different kind of buzz, but it's more like a flow. Moaye tinga. Yen you dance steady and monda. Hayako niera. Hoakan yesteri. Hariatun yetera amundea. Yonundar yesendur. Yondar yasendeturu. Yondaria cesaria san. Recognize your star essence. Akimetu. Be your star essence. Yakai shokun. So you're going to feel like in your heart space, a lot of this expansion that's going on. It's just like, oh, silly human, why did I have to worry about that? That was a big deal. Right? And you just let it flow off. So remember, there's a cascading diamond, that cascading diamond rose pink waterfall that's cascading down. It is this rejuvenating, rejuvenating. So just know that you have access to all of this. This is a reminder from our family of Lemuria. How do you guys feel? Good? Better?
Very good.
Hi! Miss Christina's here because I see the rose. The Shakatira Shishan. Yeah. Hi, she's here. She's here. Woo, I feel her. Boom. She's helping. She's telling me she's helping right now. She's amplifying. All of us are connected to her. So you're feeling like a rose. Some of you may be seeing rose or smelling this imagery. It's an expansion. So they're bringing, thanks. She's bringing several other council members to help with this heart. Open and expand, but releasing Gimeta. Ooh, I feel all the chills. So much love, 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 love.
How wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Any last words that you would like to give this beautiful audience of star beings? Any last words before we say our goodbyes to you, my love?
Yes. Make sure that when you're in this space, and again, you're reflecting. So I encourage all of you. So if you're recognizing those patterns and the lessons, the outdated programs, the old stuff that you want to release and let go, declare it first to yourself. So very much declare it to yourself first. If you're done with all of that, you declare you're done and you really mean it. You're done, done. Neutralize it out, boom. And then now give yourself permission to receive all those healings. So I give yourself, you give yourself permission. I permission to receive. So that's the allowing to be in that flow. So this is, again, where we're harnessing and working in alignment with the frequencies in a more beautiful way, in a more lighthearted way, and less density, less heaviness. And if those triggers come out, yes, if you're not saying that it's going to be easy, but if those triggers do come out, know at that moment that you have choice. You've always had choice. So you choose whether that emotion, which is energy in motion, if it's going to overtake you, right? Anger, anxiety, fear, stress, whatever the case, those shadow emotions, just know those experiences are going to reflect that on you. It's going to be a lot more detrimental and intense. But if you realize at that moment that you have choice, and I choose this instead, I choose to be love and receive love, now you're embodying it. Akan. So you're being it. Aster sesyokoy mira. So this is who you are. So this is just a beautiful reminder from your star families, and just also know that they're very, 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 very close. And so you can call on them at any time for your assistance, for help.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
So much. Thank you.
Welcome.
Shirley's on, and Caroline, I know, was on. I don't know if she's still on. Just to let everyone know that the last 3 guests that we've had on our Zoom cafes, we're going to come to our star gathering. We are putting together a summit, which means you're gonna get teachings from them over the YouTube and over Zoom like this. Janelle and Amy are putting that together for all of us. Before you came on, Garrett, I was talking about how I love pearls, and I was wondering, like, why am I always putting on pearls? You know, I've worn my head, and the pearls are the pearls of wisdom that I've received from people like you and Shirley and Caroline and so many people. And the people that have come to the Hope Interfaith Center, they carry just such pearls of wisdom. And so I've called on you several times, and you just say yes, yes, yes. And, you know, much to my wildest dreams, you know, I never thought my life would look like this or be like this, but much to my wildest dreams, when I put a clarion call out to my brothers and sisters, you've always shown up. And so to those teachers who've taught me, I thank you so very much.
And one quick message from Christina Hope.
Yes.
She says, give yourself permission to receive those miracles.
Thank you.
I feel like real heart. She's being nice, Hope. But there's a little bit of sternness going on there. She knows what you're talking about. She's like, you tell her I'm just being gentle. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But deep down, she's kind of like, you know better.
Yes. That would be my Christina Rose. That would be
Yep.
Yes. Well, I thank you so very much. So we will let everybody know when. I think we're going to still have it on the same day that we were going to do the gathering at the Hope Interfaith Center. So Janelle, you want to say something? Apparently I can't say anything because I got Christina Rose down.
Yes. She's helping us. That's why we're talking about it so much.
Yes.
So the Star Gathering Summit will now be online because we had to cancel it in person. And so we'll still have all the amazing speakers that we're going to speak at it at the Hope Interfaith Center. It'll just be online and we're still figuring out the best way for you guys to experience it. And so once we figure out the details, hopefully like by the beginning of May, we hope to have it all figured out. But if you would, well, I'm going to wait to have everyone sign up just because we're not exactly sure of exactly how we're doing it. So whether it's on Zoom or on another form of, I can't find words either, online, whether it's online somewhere, we just hope that you all are still a part of it, and it's still going to be as powerful energetically and spiritually as it would be in person. So all amazing speakers, we're so grateful that they all said yes to join us online, and it's just going to be a wonderful experience to experience more of your souls. And as soon as we know more information, we will get it out right away for you guys to sign up for it.
And just to let you know that every single person who has ever came to teach at the Hope Interfaith Center, I want all my beautiful beloveds who come and support the Hope Interfaith Center, they talk about the community at the Hope Interfaith Center as something rare, like pearls. It's something very rare. And you are all so rare and precious. And when we come together as a collective, I have people come from big, big towns and they say, oh, you know, we have nothing like this. We have nothing like this. And we couldn't have this without you. We couldn't have this without you. And so the pearls around my neck not only represent, I'm a crier, so not only represent all these fantastic speakers, but they also represent all the people who have blessed the Hope Interfaith Center and has blessed my life completely and utterly, and have made this universe a better place to be. And we're birthing a new universe right now through our choices. So I wish you all well. Please join us again on Thursday. We're going to be celebrating again Earth Day. Go out in nature on Wednesday. Wednesday is supposed to be a fantastic day here in Minnesota. It's supposed to get in the 70s. But on Thursday, when you join us for the Zoom Cafe, if you bring a poem or a quote or a prayer to Gaia Mama Earth and all the fairies and divas and elementals, they will hear us celebrating them. And once again, Garrett, I thank you for joining us and your beautiful, giddy, joyous look.
I know, I feel it right now.
Real heart.
I'm just gonna laugh.
I'm always laughing. My husband says, "What you laughing about?" I was like, "I don't know." So thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Shirley, for joining us too. I know that you're busy usually. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Okay, namaste, everyone. Namaste.
Namaste.
Hey.
Bye-bye. See you on Thursday.
Thank you.
Bye. On.
Bye.